I love it when I get to sit down with a friend on my own show and then learn so much more about this friend than I ever could have imagined. And that is exactly what happened today with my friend Will Cain, star of The Will Cain Show on Fox News and Will Cain Country, wherever you get your podcasts. Here's the thing. Yes, he's the host of a nationally televised show. He's so successful, but his journey to get here, incredible. From a star water polo player at Pepperdine, from a small town in Texas, to selling newspapers and becoming an expert on quinceañeras. Yeah, that's how Will Cain got to where he is today, along with his journey at ESPN at the same time I was there. We have a lot of good stories that we shared on this. And he also went very deep on things, quite personal, things he has really never talked about before. It meant the world to me to see a different side of Will Cain, one that I know that you're gonna love and enjoy as much as I did. Will Cain, the star of today's Sage Steele Show. I cannot. Okay. On that note, we're going to bring it down. Since I know that Will Cain has never watched my show, like if you had, you would have come in like without your fancy shoes on.
Okay.
Because you know that like I make you put on.
Okay.
Fuzzy.
So first of all, incorrect. I have watched your shows.
Have you noticed that even RFK Jr. took his shoes off?
It is like I sat there and said, if I'm ever on Sage's show, do I have to wear the fuzzy socks? And then I saw you around here today, and I was like, she forgot the fuzzy socks. She hasn't mentioned the shoes. And I was like, I'll just get to wear my shoes. And somebody, see, because I watch, did refuse. Somebody refused to put on.
Do you remember who it was?
It was a man.
It was definitely a man. Women aren't that vain.
I don't remember who it was that refused.
Matt Walsh.
Matt Walsh refused to put on the socks?
Yes. He was really weird about it. And it was so funny. I had never met him and always, of course, admired him. And he walked in and I was like, you know, leave those on? He's like, yeah, this is my thing. And I'm like, but this is my thing. And this is my show. And then I was like, well, when you're home, don't you take your shoes off? He's like, never. I'm like, ew. I'm judging you completely now because he leaves his big old boots on even upstairs in bedrooms. And I'm like, I think that's foul. I would divorce you based on that.
Okay, well,
that's filth.
I'm not going to be so proud as to keep my shoes on.
Now, I am giving you options. I'm very impressed by the socks.
American flag socks.
Very impressed by the socks. I'm going to give you, go ahead.
Do you, first of all, I don't wear socks around the house. I don't like.
That's fine.
I'm not a
as long
sock
as you don't wear
person.
shoes around the house.
No, I'm a barefoot person.
Okay, good.
I don't like slip sliding around. I find socks effeminate, especially fuzzy socks. So.
Well, that's why I thought that these floral ones would be perfect for you. Like they're kind of like curly Q at the top.
Okay, perfect.
But, or you can have the solid
And I'm not going to
blue.
put them over these socks because that's just going to be hot. So.
There's just solid, it's kind of baby blue, which look, it matches your shirt.
Which ones do
Who
you
loves
want?
you?
I would put on the flower socks.
You would, but what? I'm going to go.
These match.
All right, I'm going to match you too. Here we go. Thank you, Will. This was a real test. We have now officially, after 10 years of knowing each other, now we've gone to another level.
Is that right?
Yes.
It's a different level.
This is what
they are
it
very
took.
comfy, I will say.
You're welcome. And now we're going to let it flow. Okay, I have a couple things to bring up with you.
Okay.
Fine. These, speaking of shoes and socks, these, I want everybody to know, we're just sitting back here on this beautiful set. Are they actually yours? Like you've worn them?
These are actually mine. Yes. So, whatever you want to talk about.
We are in Texas, and Will's from Texas.
Yes,
proudly.
but these were my Montana boots. So you asked me, are you a real cowboy? And my answer is no, I'm a play cowboy. But for 1 year of my life, I was kind of a real cowboy. So I moved to Montana after law school.
Gosh.
And I wanted to write the great American novel. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to devote time to writing a novel, I want to live somewhere that I've always wanted to live, that I think is amazing. And I tell this story, so I'm going to tell it to you as well. You grow up in Texas, and you're my age, you worship the novel and the miniseries Lonesome Dove, which starred Tommy Lee Jones and Robert Duvall, Gus and Call, two Texas Rangers that drove a cattle herd up to Montana. And then I read Travels with Charlie by John Steinbeck. And John Steinbeck wrote a book that he suggested he rode around the country in an RV with his dog Charlie. And they visited state. We now know that Steinbeck made up the book a lot. He actually didn't do it. But he gets to Montana and he says, if you met a boy, a 10-year-old boy from Washington, D.C., who had never been to Texas. To describe Texas, what he would in reality describe is Montana. So when I graduated law school and I didn't want to quite grow up, I thought, well, I want to go to Montana. If that's what Texas is supposed to be, I want to go to Montana. So I went to Montana. I worked on a ranch, a hunting outfitter. We took hunters back into the mountains to hunt elk, sheep, and we had mules and we had horses, and these were the boots that I wore. When I was I was on horseback almost every day.
Oh my gosh.
And these are real boots. Let me show you. This is shark skin. The reason it's shark skin is you can feel how tough it is. So that when you put your
that's
spurs,
not like this.
right? So when you put your spurs on, it doesn't break the leather. That is a riding heel.
Yep.
So that when you put your feet into a stirrup, you know, if you don't slip through. First of all, that's the point of a heel.
Of a heel, yes.
So you don't slip through.
You know, you're talking to an expert horsewoman here.
Oh,
keep going.
English,
Jumper.
fancy. So anyway, yeah,
They're beautiful.
Thank you.
They're really beautiful.
Thank you.
I feel like they need to be. David, does this like mess with my shot? Or your shot in the background with all the medals? No, I just kind of love it. And if it does, David's like, no, take them down. Fine. Super cool. I have no idea. What did you learn? What did you learn living on a ranch, being in Montana for a year?
I actually learned a lot, Sage. It was a very, very formative year in my life. So, first of all, it's a complicated year. First of all, I learned how to start and finish a project. I wrote that novel, and every day that I wasn't working on the ranch, I was writing. And just the process of sitting down and committing yourself to putting your thoughts onto paper, getting it done from page one to the end product, and then going through the editing process, I'm proud that I did that. You'll never see the novel. No one will, because it's probably garbage. But at least I feel like it's garbage. So you'll never see it.
Where is it?
Oh, it's collecting dust at the top of some closet.
Will,
Yeah.
you have to do that, even if it's just for your boys.
No.
What do you mean?
No.
Are there some
immature,
incriminating things in there?
No, but the immature, unfinished thoughts of a 24, 25-year-old.
Which is beautiful, especially compared to 25 years later.
Maybe.
I mean, even if you have to.
Do you watch yourself on camera?
I don't, and I should. I hate it.
I don't either.
I hate it because all I'm going to see is the bad.
Well, I mean, despite the fact that we're on television, look, most people who do what we do for a living are narcissists. And that means they have huge egos layered on top of a mountain of insecurity. I don't think I'm a narcissist, but I'll tell you this, I don't like watching myself on television. I feel like, wow, you're not very good at this. So I'd rather live in the delusion that what I'm doing is good than see that I'm not.
Yes.
But back to Montana.
So,
yes.
Are you going to give me your word that you'll consider sending this thing to print?
That's an easy contractual obligation. I will consider.
I know, I would be a terrible attorney, wouldn't I? I just think it'd be super cool, especially when this sounds terrible and morbid, but you're not going to be here forever.
Wow.
And for someone else, for your kids, your grandkids, like to see your evolution would be really special.
I do want to write. And I do want to write something. And I should, because everybody at Fox is a best-selling author. But I just don't have that thing yet that I'm completely passionate about that I want to commit to writing. And it will have something to do with history, most likely. I love history. And I will return to writing.
Okay.
Montana, though, I was telling you, it was a formative year in my life. So first of all, I was taken in by this family. I moved up there. I didn't know where I was going. I just thought, I'm going north. I loaded up my dog. And I knew a guy who was living outside of Missoula. So I thought maybe I'll just point my truck north in his direction. And I did. And when I got up there, I just looked in the classifieds. Remember the classifieds?
Yeah.
Of like the Missoulian newspaper. And I found a cabin for rent. And I ended up renting a cabin from an 80-year-old woman. I had a Doberman. I still have Doberman, but he was my first dog that was my dog.
Yeah.
I got him when I was 20 or 21. And she called me back and said, oh, my son said, I can't rent my cabin to a Doberman, a guy who's a good Doberman. I'm like, well, you got to meet my dog. And he was incredible. I mean, I could tell him, we're going in, sit, stay. He was perfect. And she fell in love with him. She rented her cabin to me. Her son, who was probably in his 50s at that time, ended up hiring me to work at his ranch and hunting outfitter. And those people, to this day, are some of the closest people. We don't talk as much as we used to, and I regret that, but they have such a soft, warm spot in my heart. For everything I did, those relationships, everything I did up there are the most valuable to me. And it's only punctuated by the fact that at the end of that year, my father died. And I was living in Montana and working a ranch and finding myself and writing the great American novel. I'm the oldest of 4, and the youngest of us was still in high school. And so it was time to grow up overnight. And I came home, and I really started my career and came home to be around my brother for a while. And it was just, that was the year I honestly turned from a boy to a man.
You had no choice. What did your dad think of you running off to Montana?
Oh, he thought it was cool. I mean,
did?
Yeah, my dad was a unique guy. I mean, he was a small town attorney, an hour north of here in Sherman, Texas. He was wild. You go home, people tell stories about my dad. I saw the stories as well, but he was so smart, such a good trial attorney, arguer, but he had this huge adventurous spirit. And he came and visited me. A few months before he died, he came and visited me up in Montana and saw me in my first time in my life. I wasn't a student, right?
Yeah.
I was a college student, then a law student, which he loved that I was going to law school.
Following in his footsteps. Was that intentional?
Yeah, probably. So I don't know about you, Sage. I majored in broadcast journalism.
Yeah.
So I thought this is what I wanted to do. I mean, if I'm being honest, I thought I want to be Bob Costas. Like, my 2 big influences in my life were my father, as I've described, and my mother. And I would wake up every morning and we would eat our Honey Nut Cheerios while she had the Today Show on. And I would watch Matt Lauer and Katie Kirk. And, you know, I'm sure somewhere in there I thought, this is what I want to do, you know. But I wanted to do it in sports, mostly. And so I majored in broadcast journalism at Pepperdine, and I hated it. I didn't hate it, but I was like, I don't want to do this because it felt like learning how to be an actor. Like, can you read a teleprompter? Can you perform?
Fake, yeah.
Exactly. And I didn't like the fake. So I'd say about my junior, senior year of college, I started thinking, I'm going to go to law school. And it was always in the back of my mind, like, I was going to be a small town lawyer.
Wow. Like your dad?
Yeah.
Can I ask, though, because I didn't know about the passing of your father. I mean, he was young.
He was.
Right?
Yeah.
Was it sudden?
He was 55. It was sudden, yes.
How did you handle that from across the country?
It was very tough. I don't ever talk about this. Sage said she wanted to get deep and she was going to do this stuff. And she wanted to get to know me.
No, I didn't know about that. Shame on me for not knowing.
No, you don't. There's no shame. I don't talk about it a lot. And it's weird, Sage. It came up in my personal life this week, and I don't. So my dad killed himself when I was 25. My youngest brother was 15. I've got another brother who would have been 22 and a sister who would have been 18. She's a freshman year in college. And I don't talk about it a lot. But the reason I don't talk about it is because I never. It's very in vogue to use your trauma as a identifier or a way to connect, and I just never want to make that and my dad transactional in this. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, in this career, I don't want that to be something that, like, even talking to you now, I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I don't want anyone to, you know, and it's just, and so I'm telling you it because it's true. It came up this week because there's a family here in Dallas with 4 kids, and they're going through the exact same thing. And, you know, I want to talk to that oldest son because I know what just happened in his life.
Makes sense about having to grow up right away, but you're a baby essentially at that age still at 25, and then feels like had to take over that man role, that fatherly role, especially because you came home in particular to be there for your younger brother. So you're trying to fill that role a little bit, but then deal with that at the same time. Yeah.
I remember people saying, I think Will's angry. Like, I'm worried he's angry. And I wasn't angry. I mean, I'm going through whatever emotions I'm going through. But, you know, I can't speak for anybody else, but the way I deal with crisis is action. It's just the way I deal with it. And so it's like, what needs to be done? What's next? How do we move forward? How do we, you know, you still have to take the time to grieve, but when somebody dies, there's a lot to be done. Like, there's a lot of work that has to get done. And so I threw myself into that. I wound up his law practice, you know, worked with my mom on her future finances and things like that. But You say I was a baby, and you're right. I mean, you're describing me. I was finding myself in Montana.
Right.
But like I think about guys that go off to war at 18. I think about people that get jobs, real jobs, right away. And we all have to grow up. And I think I was privileged in the fact that it didn't hit me in the face until I was 25.
Do you think you've fully dealt with it?
I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. You never know. I don't. I'm happy. Like I was just with some of my buddies this weekend out in East Texas. We were watching the Longhorns lose to Florida. And
I always think of you when Texas loses and wins, but loses in particular.
And, it's guys don't do this. These are lifelong friends, though.
Yeah.
Guys don't do this often. And somebody started asking me, even about our career, like, but are you happy? And he's asking it almost skeptically. And I'm like, no, man, I'm really happy. Like, I feel productive. I feel I get to be in the state that I want to be in, doing my career. I don't think I've got anything very deep, even on this subject.
That's incredible, because you hear about that, unfortunately, more and more now. Mental health is finally discussed so much more than it ever was before. To me, the turning point, I think you were still at ESPN. We both were, when Kevin Love really came out and started talking about mental health and being very, very depressed. So it's good. It's progress that we've made, that people are talking about it more, I guess. But unless you've been through it.
I feel a little mixed on that.
Really?
I do. We definitely have a mental health crisis, but then we get into the why.
Right.
And look, just because that's how it worked for me doesn't mean that's how it's going to work for everybody else. And I'm not going to be able to quote the people that have said this, but they've said it much more eloquently than me that, like the best thing to do is to stop thinking about yourself. Almost stop thinking about your thoughts. I know that's not the modern day therapy mindset.
It's the opposite, right?
It's the opposite, but it's like I believe in self-awareness, but maybe not quite as much self-reflection. Self-reflection is important when you're looking at your own actions and your judgment, but to constantly ruminate, that's the word I'm looking for. Rumination, I think, is the source of a lot of troubled thoughts, where, at least for men, I think action is the path to healing. I really do. Action and time is the path for moving forward.
Quite often, I think it can easily slide into, yes, action, and let's make ourselves super, super busy and not think about any of that and just dive in to the point where you're ignoring some things. I agree with you. It's a fine line. We grew up kind of the same time, and it's like, no, you're tough. You pick yourself up by the bootstraps and you keep going, right? Mm-hmm. What is that middle of the road thing, especially as a parent, where you don't want your boys in particular to feel like they can't talk about things, but action, get to work?
Yeah. I've never been to therapy in my life. I don't know what that's like. I have a wonderful wife who was my girlfriend at the time and became, within a couple of years, my fiance. And I talk to her all the time. So in a way, maybe she is my therapist. Sure. I don't know. We talk about everything together. So I don't know. I can't speak to the value of that entire exercise. I don't think it was necessary for me.
Mm-hmm. How did this youngster from Sherman, Texas, end up at Pepperdine in Malibu, California?
Yeah.
Because I know water polo, you're a stud athlete, but I mean, you had your choice, because Pepperdine's an incredible school as well. But Malibu, with your cowboy boots?
So, right. Small town kid from Texas, first of all, thinking the whole world is way out there, far beyond your reach, right? It's not in, a few miles down the road in Gunner or Van Alstyne or Bells or any of the towns around Sherman. And it wasn't even in Dallas, which was an hour away. It's like the world is way out there where everything's happening. And our age range, I will say it felt like everything was happening in California.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if you felt that way, but I definitely. Movies, music, pop culture, it felt like, I didn't grow up thinking about New York.
Yeah,
I just didn't.
Same.
But LA?
Sunshine and
LA was
freedom.
where it was happening.
Yeah.
And so I romanticized California. Thought that I wanted to go out there. I applied to USC and Pepperdine and then some schools outside of California. And so I had my heart pretty set. And by the way, it's fascinating how that's changed. California does not maintain that same place of aspiration in our, generalized American culture.
Even for kids, and my kids are 19 to 23, even they're like, why would anybody intentionally go to California now? It is completely flipped, and it's sad.
And those California kids are coming here to
Yep,
Texas. They're
exactly.
going to TCU and to SMU, and they're going to Georgia and Auburn. And these Texas kids, when they go out of state, they don't think about California.
No.
They think about Georgia and Auburn. But that's not the way it was. And so I remember I thought I'd go to USC because I'm a big football fan.
Yeah.
And it was Rodney Peete.
Oh, my gosh.
And before that, it was Marcus Allen.
Yep.
And before my time, it was O.J. Simpson. But, it was USC. But I visited USC and Pepperdine on the same day.
Oh, gosh.
And my dad didn't even get the debate. Because, USC's in Watts. It's behind security gates. And Pepperdine's in Malibu.
Yes.
On
the cliff overlooking the ocean.
He's like, I don't get the debate. What's the debate? And they were playing each other in water polo that day, and Pepperdine had just won the national championship in baseball. And the entire baseball team was on the deck heckling the USC goalie. And I thought, that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
And so ultimately, I did get an academic scholarship to go to Pepperdine, so that's why I went.
Okay. When did you begin playing water polo? In Sherman, Texas.
About when I got to Malibu.
Okay.
No, I grew up a swimmer.
Okay.
The story my mom tells is she couldn't swim and she was embarrassed when she was a kid. And she would go and the other kids could swim and she was embarrassed. She's like, my kids will never deal with that embarrassment. So we were in infant swim, like, they would take the little babies and make them swim and do all that. And then I started competitively swimming at like age 6 or 7. And so I swam from that through age 18. I was good. I wasn't great, but pretty good. I still do it to this day. But I wanted to play a ball sport. I'm a sports fan, basketball, football, everything. I'm like, well, maybe you take your swimming ability and you walk on to the water polo team. And I trained in Dallas. There's a club here in Dallas. I trained a little bit. And let me be very clear. Pepperdine was very welcoming on its walk-on program. It wasn't like all of a sudden they found this gym out of Texas that had never played water polo before, but check him out. It was, no, he gets to be on the team. And I was on the team all 4 years. Proud of myself for not quitting. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because that was an internal struggle. Because I went from, big fish, small pond to low man on the totem pole.
Yeah.
And that's a whole exercise in learning how to accept that in some ways, accept that humility. And this is the way, and what are you going to do? You're going to quit because you're not great? You're going to quit because you're low man on the totem pole? Or are you going to grind and stay with it? I scored 1 goal.
In 4 years?
4 years.
Whoa.
And I gave
so you were great defensively, right?
I gave him hook 'em horns.
Of course you did. That's amazing.
Yeah.
We need video evidence of that.
It's on VHS.
Is it really?
Somewhere.
We have to take it to some store to dub it down for real proof. But that is so true. That's the beauty of sports, right? Is you can be the Super Bowl champion one day, and then the very next game, look what happens, right? I mean, you could be the reason why somebody loses a game. So I wonder, based on our earlier conversation here, if that humility is what has allowed you to really maintain your humility throughout this real growth in your career.
No, thank you.
I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know. There's things baked into your question that I'm trying to. Am I humble? I hope so.
You are?
I hope so. One of the things that I think helps me in this career is this all kind of happened later in life for me. I got to ESPN at age 40.
Yeah.
I was at CNN before that for 5 years, so about 35. And that's really kind of when I started on this TV career. And then it's not an overnight success. I've been doing this for 15 years. Whatever fame is, if I'm getting there, it's happened later in life. And so I'm just the same. I'd like to think the same guy that I've been through my whole life. And I don't know. I had this conversation with a college kid the other day, and I'm like, she asking me about this. I'm like, well, you just can't do this to try to be famous. You can't do this even to be on TV. The reason I did this when I first started doing this is because I thought there was something missing in the conversation that I could provide. It didn't matter, are you going to have this show or that show or whatever? It was just I want to do this. I want to have this conversation that I feel like is missing, and we'll see where it takes me.
Which began in politics at CNN.
It did.
And and then transition to sports, now back to politics. So let's start at the beginning of that. But before that, even because you went to law school, you came back home, hook 'em. You finally got to UT.
Yes.
And got that law degree.
Yes.
And did what exactly?
Right after law school, moved to Montana. Took the bar exam. Had to get that out of the way.
Yes.
And then moved to Montana.
And you did that
Passed it.
successfully.
Yeah.
First time.
Yes, first time.
Okay. And then the Montana situation coming back home.
Yeah.
But as far as practicing law, and that was at your dad's firm.
Yeah.
Right. How long did that last?
That was 1 year. 1 year closing up his law practice.
Yes.
Finishing up my novel, and beginning to think about what it is I want to do as a career outside of writing. And so when I was in Montana, I also read a ton. And I read, first of all, a lot of books about Warren Buffett, the investor, who I respect a lot. And I read the biography of a man named Al Newharth, who he was the CEO of Gannett, which was a huge newspaper company.
Yeah.
And then he started USA Today. And I'll always remember this line from that book. Newharth said, "I wish for my children one great failure before the age of 30, because it's easier to recover. If you don't ever fail, you never pushed it hard enough. And if you do it before you're 30, it's much easier to recover from failure than afterwards." And I had learned about, through Buffett and Newharth, the newspaper industry. So I moved to the hill country of Texas. I got a job working $19,000 a year. All my buddies were lawyers, making six figures. And I literally delivered the newspapers, covered city council, covered the high school football game, put the labels on the newspaper. I did everything.
Delivered the newspapers.
Yeah. And this is a small town weekly newspaper in Llano, Texas. And then they gave me my own newspaper. These guys that own this group of newspapers, they gave me my own in Johnson City, home of Lyndon Baines Johnson. Then I'm writing the articles. I'm like the publisher and editor. I mean, I had a staff of like 3. So it was like us putting the newspaper together. But I was doing this to learn. And I knew that I wanted to buy my own. So I moved back again to Sherman, and I bought 2 newspapers north of Dallas, small town weeklies, and started 2 others.
That's a big deal.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a more achievable entrepreneurial thing to do than buying a radio station. That's like an FCC licensed deal. That's expensive. But, you can buy a small town newspaper. And I did. And I did well with them. I did that for about 3 years, along with my then wife now. And we worked together. She sold ads. I did everything else. We had some writers and things like that. And then at the end of 3 years, I sold that newspaper group to a larger newspaper group. And it was a good lick.
Oh my goodness. I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
So the entrepreneurial, which is always a word that I can never say, entrepreneurial side of Will Cain, along with the legal aspect of it. Mm-hmm. What's that journey then to get to
TV?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a couple more stops. Okay. So then I decided, when I went into being like a media entrepreneur, I decided there was 3 niches that I was interested in. People were already saying that print is dying. So I said, okay, there's 3 niches that I've identified that I want to be involved in. Number 1, the Latino business. Number 2, the small town growth path newspapers where the population was booming, and Dallas is booming north. And number 3, I liked and I never did one of these, but these like weekly free newspapers in big urban environments.
Okay.
They're all liberal, by the way. Like the Village Voice, the Dallas Observer, they're super liberal. But I did the first 2. So the second thing I did was, my wife is from West Texas. Now, growing up in North Texas, we didn't have a lot of Latinos growing up. Mm-hmm. My wife in West Texas did. And I saw the booming population for Latinos. And I keep using that word specifically because Hispanic is a government census-created term. And that's important because it takes Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Chileans, Argentinians, Hondurans, Nicaraguans, and treats them all the same. There's one group of people, Hispanics. And it also takes the brand new, either legal or illegal immigrant, and the 3rd or 4th generation Latino, and makes them the same.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And so think about it, like Hispanic, what does that mean? Well, all those people are looped together, and they're not the same. In the Caribbean, they like baseball. Yeah. In Latin America, they like soccer. Mm-hmm. In acculturated Latinos have a different life than somebody who just came over here, including what they eat. So I was like, what can I identify that's truly common to all of those ethnicities? And because of my wife's influence, I found out about the quinceañera. Do you know what a quinceañera is?
The 15th, like the birthday party thing? Yeah.
And by the way, I was getting married at the time. This is in that range. My wife would bring home, I remember she brought home this magazine called The Knot. And The Knot was like this thick, and it was all ads. And I was like, man, they're printing money with all those ads. And I was like, and because the ads are the content, like you may have picked up The Knot because you're looking at the dresses.
Exactly. Wedding stuff.
Yeah. And I'm like, a quinceañera looks like a wedding. It's the same thing. So I created...
those dresses are massive and colorful and beautiful.
And they have a court that's like groomsmen and bridesmaids. It's caballeros and damas. And so I created a magazine, event company, and a website to help young girls plan their quinceañera.
No, you didn't.
And I raised money from a hedge fund, and we launched a national magazine. Yeah.
Does it still exist?
No. So I launched that magazine. It was great. I got a lot of coverage. It was on Univision, The Today Show, all this different stuff. We had a lot of great victories. I went to Bentonville, pitched Walmart, got distribution in Walmart. That's huge, by the way. You ever heard about the notorious Bentonville pitches? You got to go into Walmart because back in the day, getting your product on the shelves at Walmart is huge.
Yes.
And I thought,
what year is this?
This is 08.
Okay.
Yeah, 07, 08.
Okay.
And got it on the shelves at Walmart. And 09 comes. In 09, we have a recession.
Yep.
Okay. Now, first of all, let me just say, as an entrepreneur, I made plenty of my own mistakes. But when you do a tight niche like this, the good thing is you're insulated from the big guys, the Telemundos and the Univisions of the world. They're not going to come after you. They're hopefully going to buy you one day, right? But the bad thing is when you have a tight niche in a downturned economy, you don't have a lot of cushion. So the long and short of it is that business failed. And so I had made money and succeeded on the newspapers. I had lost money and failed on the quinceañera business. And so now I was sitting there, back to that thing I said about you have that great failure in your life.
Before 30.
And I'm sitting there. I'm over 30 at this point. And I sit there and I go, okay, listen, I trust myself to figure out how to make money. I trust myself in business. But what I know that I need to do is wake up every day passionate about what I do. I'll figure out how to make money at it. And for me, waking up every day thinking about 15-year-old Hispanic girls was not my passion. And I make that joke and say, if it were, call the FBI.
Yes, exactly. We have bigger issues.
So yeah, quinceañeras just didn't do it for me from a wake up every day and care about it. And I thought, but you know what does and always has is ideas and philosophy and debate. And John McCain was running against Barack Obama for president at the time, and I'd wake up and I watched Morning Joe a lot back then, and I saw what they were doing, and I saw the debate the country was having, and I thought, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the moment. I thought Barack Obama, even from the beginning, represented a huge philosophical shift for America, and I still believe that to this day.
Yep.
It was a massive lurch left for the left and for the country. He represented a vision of government and a relationship of the citizen to the government that we had not yet experienced. And I was like, I need to dive in. So what I did, not to monologue on my life story, is I never asked for a job, Sage. So I produced a TV pilot. I was living in New York. We had moved to New York only because we wanted to live in New York. We went up on a 6-month lease. And we were like, you got to live in New York before you die. So that 6 months.
And before you have kids.
Yep.
And all that.
And I ended up having my kids in New York and stayed for 15 years. But I rented a restaurant. I had this vision. There was a show called Dinner for Five. You ever see it?
No.
Jon Favreau, the actor and director. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of awesome. He would get this random collection of people over dinner. He had Bill Maher, Kid Rock, just this eclectic group of people, Vince Vaughn, and they would just talk about anything, their careers, their life, their ideas. And it was super decompressed, and I was like, this is interesting. I like this. What if I did this with real ideas? And so I booked this restaurant on the Upper West Side, Barney Greengrass, and I booked the talent. I hired the camera crew. I moderated the show. On that show was Chris Hayes, who now has a primetime show on MSNBC.
Yeah.
And a guy named Kevin Williamson, who was a brilliant writer and was with, for a long time, National Review. And so that's that. I did that, and then I learned nobody in TV buys a pilot. So All it did, though, is lead me to a relationship with National Review through Kevin.
Okay.
And I started doing video content for National Review early on. This is early on in the video age of online content, right? And they didn't have any money. They couldn't pay me. So I said, introduce me to everybody you know in TV. That's how you'll pay me. I did that for like a year for free. Not even just for free. I paid for it. And they introduced me to Bill Shine, who was the number 2 at Fox at the time.
He was a good man.
And Bill and I hit it off.
Yeah.
And he put me on my first ever television appearance, which was Fox and Friends Weekend, the show I would host 10 years later.
What did he bring you on as?
National Review contributor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. So, do you remember your thoughts that day?
Yes.
Walking into those studios?
Yeah.
Avenue of the Americas,
I
1211?
remember several things. It was my first time on TV in a
Ever.
studio. Yeah, absolutely. And it was in person in the building, like you're talking about, 1211 Avenue of the Americas. And I remember going in and sitting down, and it's like getting strapped into a spaceship, you feel like the first time. Like they put the IFB on you and put the pack on, and they mic you up and sit down, and they put these lights that are all coming on. They're like, look at that
Yeah.
camera. And you're like, okay. And I remember they were in studio, and I was in studio. So like they were over there on the couch, right? But I had to look at them through the camera. And I just remember all the external stimulus of like, how do I have my thoughts and all of this going on? And I see it sometimes. If I get a young person on my show, I can see when they're feeling all of that.
Mm-hmm. And then it's our job at that moment.
Totally.
To make them feel comfortable, tell a joke, compliment
Make
them, whatever.
present.
Because we know, I'll never forget those days either. The very first time, I mean, do you remember how you did?
I must have did all right. They asked me back.
This is an attorney we're speaking to as well. But for that to be your first time ever is scary. I mean, I think how I would have thought in that position.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
And we talked about our paths. And so mine's very non-traditional, right?
Very.
There's no like local market experience, no warm-up at bats.
That's
It's
what I'm
like,
saying.
That's
That's huge. But you liked that adrenaline rush, didn't you? Like
I did.
What that feeling when you were done, like what did you think?
Yeah, I liked it. And then I remember not long after that sitting on the couch and having a debate with a lefty, and I really liked that. Just like they say what they have to say, and then I'm like, no, just the chess match of the argument. I loved it. And I did it for free at Fox for a long time. I did Hannity's Great American Panel. I did Fox and Friends. And I did it in order to create a reel. Mm-hmm. A series of clips. Mm-hmm. And then I took that reel, and one night I guessed at the email address of the president of CNN. And I guessed at it because everybody's email address is formulaic.
Yeah.
I mean,
First initial,
for anybody
last
watching,
name.
I don't check my company address. So if you get mine off of this,
Yeah.
I won't see it.
Uh-huh.
But it is first name dot last name at Turner.
Yeah.
.com. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And I imagine ESPN, it's first name dot last name at ESPN.
Exactly.
And I sent an email with the clip, and I had a simple line. It just said, you need somebody like me over there. And he responded within 15 minutes, you're right, come see me.
No.
Yeah.
Will Cain. I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a reel that's your resume tape. It doesn't matter the piece of paper you type up or where you've been or what you're doing, that you're an attorney. Great. How are you when the camera turns on? And within 15 seconds, that person needs to like you, which is what makes this business so difficult, I think, in many ways, because it's so subjective. It depends on who looks at that, in my case, VHS tape from way back in the day, versus a link or an actual, I don't know, I guess it evolved to a Betamax and who knows after that, right? But the fact that you got an email back so fast,
Yep.
I mean,
Look, it was a shot in the dark, and it worked.
Yeah.
The lesson that I took away from that I share with young people is I don't take no from people that are not empowered to say yes. That's my lesson. I always go to the person who is empowered to say yes. If I get a no from them, okay, and Mark Cuban once said that, business is not an efficiency game. It's a volume game, right? We're sports fans. Like Antoine Walker, I think it was around Antoine Walker. Remember Antoine Walker?
yes.
Boston Celtic and then a Dallas Maverick.
Yep.
And Antoine was a volume shooter. And he said that. He goes, I'm a volume shooter.
Yep.
Well, volume shooting doesn't really work in basketball, but it works in life. You just keep shooting. And it works in business and entrepreneurship. You keep shooting. And if I'd have gotten a no from John Klein, his name was John Klein, the president of CNN, okay. But I wasn't going to take a no from somebody who couldn't say yes.
Yes.
And most people in corporate America are empowered to say no, but they actually don't have the power to say yes. So I was just going to go to the person that had the power to say yes.
And how soon was it till you got on CNN airwaves?
So that just got me in the door.
Okay.
That's all that did. And then I did a pilot. They brought me in, had a meeting. They liked me in the meeting or whatever. And they put me on a pilot for a brand new show they were launching with Elliot Spitzer, the former governor of New York. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Prostitution scandal. And Kathleen Parker, who was a Washington Post conservative columnist. They were getting a show. They had a group of us come in, and they wanted to do a little bit of a round table panel with 2 hosts. And I'm sorry for the lack of humility. I crushed it.
Yeah.
I went out there on that pilot, and I knew it. I crushed it. And he liked me. I liked him. We had a tough debate. And I walked out of there thinking, yeah, I got it. So, and I did. They signed me right there. 5 years. 5 years, 3 years, 3 years, something like that. I stayed for 5. Yeah.
So you got an extension.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
But it was the debate format.
It was the debate
Moderator.
format. And then the lesson from that is I say, like, you know, the whole thing about seeing the email to the presidency and all that. Okay, great. All that did is get me in the door. And then you get what that means is now you're at the plate.
Right.
You get a shot. You're in the bigs. Here's your cup of coffee. What are you going to do at the plate? I just happened to have a good at bat in that pilot.
Happened to, fine. You were prepared.
Yeah, I was prepared.
You knew the task at hand.
And I wasn't intimidated.
Right.
That's the main thing. I have always had, I appreciate you saying I have humility. I hope I do on my ego. But the things that aren't attached to my ego, I have a lot of confidence in. Like, I wasn't intimidated by Stephen A. Smith.
Exactly.
Like ever. Like my first day. Like, because it's not about me. It's about what I have to say. And I'm really confident in what I have to say. And so I was confident. I wasn't a bundle of nerves or anything like that.
When you're prepared, I mean, it's okay to have adrenaline. I do think there's a difference. Adrenaline, anticipation versus nerves and butterflies, because that is going to affect your performance. It is a performance to an extent. I've told you this before. I've reminded you of this before, I think. But I believe we were in New York City, and I believe we were there maybe for ESPN upfronts.
I remember.
And you were on an escalator going down and I was going up, or just off the escalator. And I was like, that's Will Cain. And I'd been at ESPN at that point for 8 years, I think. This is 2015, right when you started, 16?
Probably somewhere in there, yeah.
And I was such a fan immediately. I had no idea what your politics were and didn't care.
You didn't?
No. I didn't. At the beginning, no. You were it was common sense.
I kind of knew yours somehow. Somehow I knew yours.
No, at that point I was quiet.
It may not have been. I remember the escalator, and I remember giving you a hug. We never met before. I'm like,
I went up. I was like,
we're
that's
hugging.
Will Cain.
And,
yes. I was so proud of you for coming in. But go ahead.
You said something to me.
Yeah.
But I knew we were simpatico.
I actually think I alluded to it in that hello.
Maybe it was in that hello.
It was in the hello.
There was something I knew we were simpatico.
Yes, it was in that hello, and I don't think I blatantly said, you know, Republican, conservative, whatever, because that's never how I led, despite what people think. I never led with that because it actually doesn't matter.
No, you didn't.
No, like it just, even today, I know that that's how people like to corner us. And then certainly you say certain things that you say, you put your MAGA hat on, like I did at the Madison Square Garden rally a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, you work for Fox News. Like at some point it's kind of over. It's kind of out there, right? But at that moment, I admired you because you walked into that First Take studio and you just told it like it was and gave common sense arguments, or just, you know, you played that opposite role. And it's like, well, no. Did you think about this, Stephen A? And not one other person since I had started at that network, when it went from cold pizza to First Take in 2007. And I was there in the studio for all those years watching it,
right,
with Skip Bayless there, and then bringing people in, bringing the Jamel Hills in of the world to give them an opportunity at ESPN, really. Not one person had come in and done it like you did it, and looked directly back in the camera or in Stephen A's eyes. And you were never rude. You were never pounding the table to try to get him to believe what you're like. It was just a straight up challenge.
Yeah.
And no one had ever done that. Did you realize that when you came in to that chair to fill in every once in a while on First Take?
For first of all, thank you for everything that you just said. And that the way we interacted at those upfronts was a little bit like Christians back in ancient Rome drawing a fish symbol in the sand. You know, like we figured out.
And it's like shh, don't tell anybody.
And it felt that way a little bit, right?
Well, it was for many years.
And it literally was for you. And our experience was different. We should talk about that. But for me and we've talked about him, and you know this, Stephen A. and I are friends. And I think the first time I was on First Take, we weren't in person. I think it was remote.
Yes.
And I went at him hard. I remember going at him about Phil Jackson. It was Phil Jackson, then the New York Knicks coach. And he texted me, and he didn't have my number. I didn't have his number. So he asked he asked one of the producers for my number, and he said, that's the way to do it. Right there. That's it. And
that's the thing people don't realize.
Yeah.
He enjoys someone who is intellectually capable of coming at him.
Yeah.
And that's what you did.
And he wants to be challenged.
It's
does.
The
format of the show.
Yeah.
And, Stephen A. and I, there was only one time in my 5 years of doing this with him that it was that I remember it being negative. It got real heated.
Very.
And it's on camera. Y'all can see it. Like one of the most famous ones. My sons actually pulled it up the other day because I guess it's on TikTok or something. Like, Dad, this one. And I'm like, yeah, I remember that day. I was super heated that day. But it was about Kevin Durant visiting the White House or not visiting the White House. I can't remember which one he chose to do.
After Warriors.
Trump was president.
Yeah.
And it was Max and Stephen A. versus me. But there was only one time that I ever said to Stephen A., are we good? And he said no. And by the way, that's not a big deal. Like, you hear that, like, you have these verbal jousts and you have a relationship with people that gets real raw and authentic. And I actually love it. Like, I've said this before, Sage. I said to Stephen A., I said on camera, in a lot of ways, like, black guys and I, whether or not people don't believe this, but hit it off because the way we grew up and the culture that we had is similar. I'm painting with a broad brush. Not everybody does. But, the debate world, the idea that I can say something to you in disagreement and it's not mean or it doesn't mean I don't like you, like, especially around the world of sports, like, I just never felt like that was a thing. Like, so what if I said you're wrong? Like, now we're not good? I never even thought about that. And a lot of the black guys at ESPN were operating on the same wavelength. Stephen A., he never took it personally when I said these things. Like, one time, and I don't even remember what it was. It was Hugh Jackson, I think. It was somewhere around race and this issue and Hugh Jackson. Do you remember,
when he was fired.
I think he won like one game.
Exactly.
And they were probably making the argument that it was racist.
Was he Raiders?
It's Browns.
Oh, it was Browns, of course, yeah. And he was coordinator and then, yep.
And they were, I'm not trying to be dismissive of Stephen A. and Max, but odds are they were making an argument that it was somehow tied to race.
Of course.
And I was like, no, it's not. And it got heated. And I think Damian Woody was on the panel. And I talked to Stephen A. later, and he's like, you got too mad that day. I said, are we good? He's like, no, you got too mad that day, or something like that. It's the only time.
Too mad.
I think that's what it was. Yeah. But in general, no matter what you saw, and it's not fake. People always say that. They think that you can get over. This is the thing back to I don't know if there's a racial overlap on it or not, but like, they also think if you're going to disagree that fervently, it must be fake. It must be that you're putting it on. Not once. Now, I can't speak to people that were on the show before me or after me, but never once is it like, you take this side, I'll take that side, we'll ramp it up. No. It's not how it works.
You guys got the topics ahead of time and discuss them and push topics.
There's a morning meeting.
It's a morning meeting, exactly.
And that morning meeting is key to the production of First Take. And Stephen A. and I would sit in there before me, Skip and Stephen A., of course, Max.
Sure.
And you go, whatever. Derrick Rose scored 30, had 10 assists last night. Is he now one of the 3 best point guards in the NBA? And somebody goes, no way. And another goes, put it on the board. And that's the end of the discussion. Like, you identify a source of disagreement.
Yes.
And then you don't do it in the meeting.
You
just put it on the board.
That's why it was, I think, for a very long time, kind of must-see TV. It was the only show that was doing it and doing it organically. And people say the same thing to me. And especially when Skip was there, where there's no way Skip believes what he's saying. I had him on my show a couple of months ago. And I'm like, no, he does. Like, everything Skip says, even if you think it's insane, he actually believes it. And he does so much homework on it, even if you don't like what he comes up with as the answer, or whatever, however he bases his opinion. That was him. I told the story when he was on my show about one year, and my kids were very little at the time, but he'd always been really kind to me and saw, what was happening behind the scenes long before I actually understood it, and really had my back with some things. And I wanted to thank him, so I invited him over for dinner. I think my kids were 4, 6, and 8 at the time. And we agreed to it. I mean, we went out and bought the steaks, and I was this whole thing. We didn't have many people over at the time. Kids were little. I'm working crazy morning shift. It was just chaos. And he texted me later that day when he was supposed to show up. He's like, "Can't do it. I'm sorry, I got to cancel." I was like,
Game.
What do you mean? Yeah, but what kind of game was it? It was
Random
part of
NBA
the
game.
women's college softball,
No.
regional game. Correct. You know how much he loves his softball. But I was like, Skip, they'll replay it later tonight. But we've been planning this for a really long time. And he's like, "This is a really good series, Oklahoma and somebody." And he's like, "I got to watch it. I love you. I can't." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm never inviting you again. You chose softball over me and my family." But my point was, he took everything so seriously.
Yes.
And I loved what that show was at that time.
Yeah. Skip and I only overlapped for a little bit.
Yeah.
He was really cool to me. He invited me to the First Take meetings long before I was ever involved with First Take, so I could learn the process. And in retrospect, he totally could have seen me as a threat.
100%.
I didn't know this at the time. I didn't know any of these things. You don't know when somebody else's contract is up.
Right.
Right? I think his contract was up a year after I joined. So he could have been like, "Who's this guy that debates?" I mean, by the way, he probably didn't see me as a threat because he's so much bigger at that time than I was. Mm-hmm. But he could have. There's a lot of insecurity in this business, right? And he didn't act that way to me. We never spent a lot of time around each other, but the time that we did spend around each other, he was friendly and he shared information with me. This is how it works. Let me show you how it works.
Mm-hmm. What did you take from that experience? Because obviously your name exploded really in that way when you were at ESPN and doing First Take in particular.
Well, I'll tell you, Skip, to your point, is legendary in the First Take community. So I lived First Take, even though I wasn't the permanent host or whatever. I was friends with all those producers. I talked on a daily basis, and Skip is legendary because of what you said,
Yeah.
His preparation. I mean, the producers would be like, he literally watched every game that he talked about. He watched them all. He might be the only, Sage, you can speak to this, he might be the only. Ryan Russillo watches a lot.
Yes.
I don't know anybody else now that I could say watches as much.
When I hope the context hits home here. When I'm talking about women's, it isn't even the actual World Series yet. It's the regionals leading up to it. And he's watching every single game. And that's for softball. So you're damn right. He's watching every single NFL game. Thank goodness at some point for Red Zone or whatever DirecTV 10 satellites he had. And certainly every NBA game.
Yeah.
He's a basketball guy. That's what he loved besides his Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
The preparation was incredible. And that's why to me he's legendary. And I saw the way he treated you. I saw the way that he brought women, Jamel Hill, onto that set.
Yep.
I saw how he was even with Dana Jacobson when she was the host, and certainly Jay Crawford. It was really cool to have a seat right there on the sidelines to watch this whole thing. And that's why when you came in and did what you did, it was really impressive and awesome to watch. It did change, obviously, your recognizability. That was a whole other level. It's one thing to do politics at CNN, which was as big as it gets at that time. Fox News, yes.
But now we know how many people actually watch CNN.
Okay, times have changed because back then, 10, 15 years ago, CNN was still much more respectable than they are now, for sure, right? And then First Take then. So how did you handle that? Because the name Will Cain, really, really did cross, I think, all demographics, all different aspects of our industry.
Yeah. I think my answer will cover a lot of the ground. So first of all, CNN changed drastically. CNN, when I was there, was liberal, biased.
Sure.
Trump wasn't on the scene yet.
Yeah.
Then they became more agenda-driven, not just biased. Now they are, and have been for the last 5, I would call it propaganda. Truth is not relative to what they have to say. It's a purpose driven to take down President Trump and so forth. It wasn't like that when I was there. I do remember this. I was at CNN on a morning show after Elliot Spitzer's show with Soledad O'Brien. It was called Starting Point with Soledad O'Brien. I was on it every morning. And Trayvon Martin happened. Okay? And I approached the Trayvon Martin case like a lawyer, like I am.
The lawyer that you are.
Yeah. And I knew what I didn't know. And I knew what the cops didn't know. And I certainly knew what the journalists didn't know. Meaning, I can remember some of the details of Trayvon Martin, but, there was a gap missing in the 911 call where we don't know what happened between George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin and who was the aggressor. We don't know. The popular narrative was that George Zimmerman hunted down Trayvon Martin. And then the counter argument was they had a confrontation, whether or not they should have or not. If Zimmerman was overstepping his authority and bounds, it doesn't really matter. At the point they get into a confrontation, who's the aggressor? Does Martin attack Zimmerman and Zimmerman defends himself, or is Zimmerman the aggressor? And so I would make these arguments. You don't know. We don't know what happened in this gap of time. So it's reasonable doubt, by the way, in a court of law. And I get called a racist.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. So it started. I'd gotten used to that. And then it also, Romney Obama running for election. I'm there.
Yep.
And I get called a racist. And the thing that I hated the most, if random people call you racist on the internet, whatever. When people that you work with do something like that, that's different. Okay? And that started happening at CNN. Allusions, statements, and then hostility. In particular, I'll tell you the person, Don Lemon. I'm not a fan. Okay? And so now I go to ESPN and I'm doing Colin Kaepernick's kneeling.
Yep.
And I'm doing all these subjects. And man, my social media is just, you're pointing out all the positives, and you're right. It was a great leap forward in my name recognition and who I am as a career. But man, half the time, it's like, okay, here we go. Get ready to be called a racist today again. I knew how it would go. I wasn't going to change what I had to say. My wife used to say, Will, maybe you should come out first and say, racism is real, or just let people know that you're
like a qualifier almost before.
Yeah, because let them know you understand these things. And before, I'm like, babe, that's not the show. Like, first of all, First Take is not built upon this. It's built upon where's the disagreement, and I'm going to lead with where you're wrong. And also, I don't think I should have to do all that. Like, I let my life speak for myself. I always say this, and you and I are having heart to hearts now. I just kind of am volunteering information, but like,
I love it. Thank you.
When I lived in New York, my kids went to school in Harlem. My oldest son in particular was one of 5 white kids in the whole school. Okay, he went to school on 135th Street to a charter school, and then I'd go to CNN, to First Take, or I'd go to ESPN, and I knew I was surrounded by people who were sending their kids to lily white private schools, spending a ton of money to make sure they do it, calling or alluding to the fact that I was racist.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is too much for me to bear. But it was great for my career in terms of the platform and the name recognition, despite all that swirling around me,
Did you consider at any time toning it down?
No.
Softening? Especially with Kathleen at home telling you, really, I mean,
couldn't.
start with this. You couldn't do it?
Because I'm going to be real. That's been my only North Star, my only guiding light. Be you. Be real. You said the word performance once or twice. We do perform. And you do learn how to perform. You learn how to work a camera. Not behind it, in front of it. You learn a lot of things. But I didn't ever, this is why I walked away from it at Pepperdine. I don't want to be an actor. I have to be real. I have to tell it the way. I think I've grown since First Take days. I do think I've grown.
How so?
In my broadcast, in my career.
Okay, yeah. The skill set, the TV, yeah.
And I don't think it's different. I'm not as confrontational as I used to be when I was on First Take.
You can pull it out when you need to.
I can pull it out when I need to.
We've seen this on the Will Cain show here on Fox News, yes.
And by the way, that's a different role.
It is. Well, you're a host.
That's right. And you can't be rude to your guests. I believe that. I believe that if I invite a Democratic politician onto my show, it's my job to be a gracious host. I will tell them they're wrong, and I will debate them, but I will always thank them for coming on. I will always...
Will you let them speak?
And I will let them speak.
And then you will break down why they're wrong.
That's right. And First Take's a little different than that. It's like you're not the host, so you just like, it's like go and go get them.
Were there any, because obviously I've received, I know what it's like to be the recipient of online hate, to be called a racist misogynist. It's fascinating. But so there have been times where I'm like, okay, that one hurt, or okay, this is affecting my kids because my kids were old enough to go to school and hear it from teachers and other parents, etc. And that's the only time when I considered maybe this isn't worth it. When there's fear involved and you're trying to protect those you love.
No.
I love that you didn't have that moment. And
I don't know why I didn't have that moment.
especially when people are coming at you online.
Yeah, no, part of it's the quantity. Like, I couldn't obsess about any one particular thing somebody
There's
said.
so many.
Because there was so many.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to change anyway. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm friends with Ryan Russillo. And at the same time now, First Take's going on, I was starting to do the Russillo show on ESPN Radio. And we're still friends. We talk to this day. And if Ryan were sitting here and he was indulging conversations about my career, he would probably raise, was it good for you or not? He has said to me, like, he has said, I saw you appear, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this guy, and he's rising so fast at ESPN. But it also branded me. Like, he and I have these, he's like, it branded you a certain way. And then the guy that ended up being on ESPN Radio with his own show, for a lot of the audience, are like, whoa, he's way different than I thought. He's not as combative. He laughs at himself. He has fun hanging out with guys who disagree with him. It's like, yeah, well, that's the full version of me. Over here is really just the debate version of me.
It's a completely different role. And I don't know that people really fully appreciate that, because in this case, you had Molly Karam, right, as the host, I guess.
Yep.
And you're going when it's your turn, basically. And then you get a couple of minutes to state your case, and then the back and forth really begins.
Yep.
And then you get your show on ESPN Radio, which I was so thrilled for that too. Again, this is back in the day where I feel like ESPN really was allowing different voices, albeit very few, to do what you were doing. It was obvious that you weren't a left-wing nut job, okay? It was obvious that you weren't a liberal even.
Yep.
And to me, you were always just common sense and leaning right. But they gave you that platform.
They did.
And I think, and now that I look back, even though it's been so many years, like, wow, that was good.
Can you imagine it now?
That's what makes me so sad, though, because there's no way in hell that would happen now.
Yeah.
When do you think ESPN turned? Because I have my ideas of when it kind of took that turn and it kind of the point of no return, actually.
Well, when Trump was elected president the first time,
2016,
it turned everything over, not just ESPN, everything. That's when CNN lost its mind. That's when everybody. And that's when so many personalities at ESPN, I don't think nobody, so for people that are not in media, you probably wonder how a lot of this stuff works. And it's not as coordinated or as top down as you might think. So I don't think the people that ran ESPN said, I want to be an anti-Trump or I want to be a left-wing sports network. I don't think they said that to themselves. I think they said, they came at it first. The first thing they did is hire a group of people that they considered to be smart and talented, and they were attracted to the intellectual side of it. And so now you've got those people in place, and then Donald Trump comes, and they're all liberal.
But real quick, who they believe are smart.
That's right.
And intellectual.
Yeah, and a lot of them are still there.
Yeah. Yes. The decision makers and some of the people that they brought in. Yes. And so that's the point. It's so subjective.
The subjectivity.
Based on the leadership that you have in place.
Correct. That's right. So they didn't say, I want to make ESPN liberal. They didn't do that.
No, but that's what they believed. So therefore.
So the people they picked. So the people they picked to put in place were the ones that couldn't control it once Donald Trump became president. And then they start saying what they're saying on Twitter, on TV. They start stewing it. And I think the management of ESPN was like, gosh, I don't really want this, but you hired this, and this is what you're getting. And it's kind of hard to put the clamps on it.
And especially if those leaders agreed with it. What happened in my experience is that they then had a very hard time drawing that line. Because yes, this is the business side, keep your personal out of it. But wait, I actually agree with what this person is saying or tweeting, and so I'm not going to discipline them for that because it falls in line with my values. Yeah, exactly, and that's not what today is. But yeah,
but my story is they knew my POV, and I give them credit for platforming my POV.
Yes, and giving you your own show.
Yes. With you, they held you to a standard that they did not hold to all those other people, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
And that reflects real hypocrisy, and it reflects their own bias at the decision maker level.
Yeah.
that you couldn't say the things that other people were saying, your counterparts on the other side of the opinion aisle.
Yeah, it's very simple, actually. That's the only reason I filed the lawsuit,
Yeah.
I'd given my apologies. I was like, okay, I'll stay quiet. I'll never say anything again. And then I see them allowing everybody else to do it while they're actually on ESPN airwaves versus my stuff, which was always separate. Always, I never tied ESPN to
Your big
it.
sin was with Jay Cutler, right?
Yeah, that was a great one. Right. And where is he now? In jail. Okay, great. Maybe he's out. I think it was only 4 or 5 days, but he was in jail for the two. Anyway.
We got quarterbacks going to jail everywhere.
Wow, I know. What the heck, Mark Sanchez? What is, you know what? You pray that he's okay. You pray that the victim's okay, and we will see how that one plays out. See, the attorney in Will is giving me eyeballs. Don't do it. Don't go there.
Well, I just don't know. We don't know.
No, we don't know. Exactly. But I am sad because the network that I grew up loving, dreaming of being on, and then actually doing it, it changed my life. Yeah. I wouldn't change one single thing about my 16 and a half years there, including how it ended. I really wouldn't, because it shaped who I am today, and I'm grateful for it. But I'm still sad as a fan and as a consumer, because it is undeniable how it turned. And to me, it was 2016 when I saw leadership doing on Twitter what they told us not to do, which was to get political and crushing Donald Trump and screaming and crying and yelling that Hillary Clinton did not win the presidency and that she should have, and Russia and all these things. I'm like, wait. These are our bosses who told us to stay quiet. And I am, believe it or not, I'm a rule follower. I was like, whatever you say. And I thought, wait, they're the boss. What is this? And that's how it began. And then all hell broke loose, right?
Yeah.
And then when you have Jamel Hill going out and tweeting what she tweeted, with no repercussions, and then eventually repercussions once she went the NFL route. But you can't, I always say this, I say it in parenting, I say it all the time, you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube once it's out, especially because they agreed with all the sentiments that their liberal employees were saying. Yeah. So, and then 2020 hit, the summer of love. Yeah. And that was it.
Well, I was gone.
You were gone. But you're watching because you're a sports fan.
I left in...
you left in 2020.
Yeah, June of 2020.
So
I was there after George Floyd.
Yes, you were there, right? I mean, part of those discussions, were you still on First Take?
Well, COVID. So COVID hits in March.
And so then you guys are separated.
So we're separated. And at that point, I'm not doing a lot of First Take. I'm doing my radio show remotely. Mm-hmm. And I did do First Take a few times during COVID, and you're doing it through your computer.
Sure.
You're zooming in.
But don't you remember those conversations and how different the conversation was on First Take at that point? And it really turned from sports. Now, everything in the country did. Granted, it was a time that none of us had ever seen and hopefully never will again. Yep. And it took over everything, every conversation, which now leads to statues of George Floyd in Minneapolis, right? But it was such a confusing time because I think we were all, as sportscasters, trying to be very sensitive to what was happening and lives lost, et cetera, but then still going, what the heck is happening? And First Take showed that you, I guess we're on as frequently, but certainly your radio show. I mean, you had to talk about these things, didn't you?
All day, because there's no sports happening either.
So what are we talking about? Sports stories.
Literally, there was no sports.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm proud. So that content that I did then, that's some of the most proud content I am of stuff.
Why?
Oh, I took callers. I had debates over race. We had debates over policing. We had real conversations that America needed to be having at that time. And I've always loved those real conversations. I've loved, a black caller into the Will Cain show that says, you don't get it. You don't, and will explain it to me. But I've never been the guy that's like, I'm not into the lived experience thing. I'm not denying someone's lived experience, but it doesn't end the argument. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? When somebody says, well, I'm going to have a counterpoint and we're going to go back and forth. And there was this visceral nature to the relationship between me and the callers and me and the guests that would come in. That was just raw and real. And that's all I've ever hungered for, like raw, real, authentic stuff. Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's hard to do. I know that you thrive on it, like you love it, but live callers, that's dangerous.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
You're a sicko.
I love it.
What do you take from it?
Oh, I love the unpredictability, the spontaneity. I think sometimes they're hilarious. I think sometimes they make good points. Sometimes I slam dunk on them. It's just who knows what's going to come out of the chocolate box. It's great.
You don't do that now.
Well,
Do you?
I don't do
Live
that.
callers?
I don't do that yet.
Oh, we're teasing things now. So you want to do it again?
Oh, I definitely do. I love interaction with people. And that's something I didn't learn it at Fox. I learned it at ESPN, but it's only been heightened at Fox. First Take would do specifically around the NBA Finals. We did it around the NBA Draft. We did it around a couple of things. And the fans show up, and they're there. And I love interacting with them.
They were on you.
I loved it. And even if they thought I was the villain, but they did it with a smile on their face, because everybody's different in real life than they are on the internet. And I just loved it. And
when you walk in, I remember those sets on the road, Golden State or wherever we were, and Stephen A., Molly, Will, whoever's there, walks in. I mean, those people have been lined up for hours.
Golden State. Let me tell you something. So First Take is at 10 a.m. Eastern time. That means it starts at 7 a.m. West Coast, and they were lining up at 4.
Yes.
And the weed was burning by 4:30. You could smell it when you drove up. Those people had been smoking weed all morning
we are
long.
in the Bay Area after all, But there's an energy that comes from that when you walk in, and deep down they respect you, but they hate you.
Yeah.
And they are yelling at you and screaming, and when you give your point, I mean, the boos are raining down on you.
And they liked me. They knew they needed it. They knew they did.
Deep down, they love me.
I'm going to tell you a secret. One time, the management told me this. They said, we did a focus group. Black people hate you. And I said, no, they don't. And I said, I meet them all the time. They love me. They love me. And they go, and I remember this guy telling me, black people are polite. They're not going to tell you to your face. And I'm like, okay.
I love how we paint everything with this broad brush. Was that Dave Roberts?
His management.
Ding, 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 ding.
No. And then I get to Fox, and I start doing diners. And I start going to these things. And I love interacting with the viewers.
I know.
And so do I want that in my show now? You bet I do. I want interaction. I don't want to give sermons. I don't like sitting in a pulpit. I do have things to say. You get a monologue. But I want you, who's watching, to tell me.
Yes.
You think I'm wrong? You think I'm right? You have a different opinion? Let's go.
Okay, Charlie Kirk proved me wrong.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of feels like.
Charlie, and you know what? I remember listening to a sports radio station. I don't have any idea how long you want to go on this podcast, but I'm just having a good time.
I just love this conversation. Thank you.
And these guys on this local sports radio show were saying, when you meet your college buddy's high school friend and you're like, he's just better than me. And it really pisses you off. Or reverse. It's usually the high school friend that meets the college friend.
Yeah.
And you're like, he's better than me. But there's a level of humility to be able to say that Charlie Kirk was better than me. And I pride myself on debate and those things. And Charlie was phenomenal.
Masterclass.
So good.
To watch him do what he did every day is a masterclass.
And what you said, like, it's not just about being right. And it's not just about the information having a rebuttal. It's also his demeanor.
Yes.
That is so key. Like, that's what I've learned, by the way, from First Take. Like, he always did it with a smile. He always did it conceding where he needed to concede, but pushing where he needed to push. He was phenomenal at it.
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro is a great debater, a great debater. There's a lot of people that are really good debaters, but I don't know of anybody that had the full package that Charlie had.
I don't know that everybody fully appreciated it until now.
Yeah, I think
until
that's
he's gone. And it's amazing how many people have come up to me and saying, I'm embarrassed. I didn't know who he was until he was murdered.
Yeah.
So I think his legacy is going to continue and just actually continue to grow. But he was so good, and he would state his case, make his point, and he'd actually put the microphone down.
And listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just that act of putting it down and leaning back and showing whichever young kid was at that microphone, it's your turn.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen and to be respectful. It was actually beautiful to watch, and I hope that people can take that from him, if nothing else.
Yeah.
He was respectful and kind while disagreeing, while encouraging conversation. And that is what you've done and what you continue to hope to do, it sounds like.
Right. That's what I hope to do.
Let me wrap up ESPN, because as the fan that I am, and I know you are, do you think there's hope for them to return to a place where they are perceived to not be as political as I believe they are right now? And I think you do too.
So let me say this, and I have I say this with no wishful thinking or joy. I don't think it matters. just don't think it matters.
Why?
I don't think it's as relevant as it used to be.
The network, ESPN.
Yeah. I think I love sports. I love so many people on and off air at ESPN. I mean, really, who are important to my career. I mean, I see the ratings. I see how people live, what they watch. People still watch First Take. They do. Mm-hmm. College kids watch First Take. It's just not as important as it used to be. So, I don't know.
Why do you think that?
A multitude of choices in what to consume. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to undercut specifically First Take, which I think still does pretty good. On occasion, does pretty good ratings.
I mean, relative to many of the sports shows, which are way down.
Everything else, absolutely.
Sure.
I just think maybe people aren't consuming that kind of content as much as they used to. Mm-hmm. I think it's lost a little bit of its place in the center of the conversation. Now, when you are in the center, meaning after a game, before a game, around a game, and you see that bias and those types of things, that's a problem. And I don't know if they can get that right or not. But as for everything else, like, you know, there are people that you and I both know at ESPN who are very liberal, who say these things on talk shows. I'm not talking about First Take now. I'm talking about other ones. And I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't hit.
I think we were there during the end of the heyday.
I think you're right. I do too.
So I'm grateful for that, and that I got to be part of it. We got to be part of it, and to witness it, and to sit next to who ended up being my closest friend there was Stuart Scott.
Yeah. I never met Stuart.
Yeah, you would have, because he died in 2015, in January of 2015.
Yeah.
You would have loved him. We could not have been more different in all of these ways that we're talking about. And it didn't matter, because it's about the human being. And I'll tell you now, and I'll probably edit this out because this show is not about me, but I thought so often when I was, going like that and crashing quickly and getting canceled, what would Stuart say? What would he say to me? And I think he would have, I know he would have supported, because he respected where I was coming from and he knew my heart, which most people don't want to take the time anymore in general, in any part of life, to get to know the why behind what someone is saying or doing. Yeah. That's what I always say to my kids too. I'm like, when you're consuming this online and you don't agree with it, fine. Like, disagree, but to dislike them because of it, like, you have to respect their opinion. Opinions are based on usually your experience. Yeah. And I don't know your experience, and you don't know mine. Right. So when we're throwing rocks at that person.
That's how I felt that way at times at ESPN. You don't know me. All you that are like passing judgment, or even the other people.
I'm talking about peers there. Who cares about the public?
No, I was saying people on set. You don't know my life and what I'm choosing. I remember Lebitard. he had me on his show towards the end of my tenure, and he wanted to try to understand why I thought the way I thought. And his questions all were baked with assumptions. And the assumptions were like, oh, you're from a small town, Texas. Oh, your dad must have been. Like, these are the reasons I am the way I am. And I'm like, well, I'm the way that I am because I think this. I've thought about it. I've studied it. I went to law school. I thought about the Constitution. Yes. I am culturally from small town, Texas too. That's part of me. But like, don't just act like I'm a product of my environment and somebody, made me this way. I made me this way.
Yes.
It's easier to have a shortcut to box you in. It's hard to actually get to know human beings and what makes them tick.
It is. It takes effort.
To invest in time.
You do. And many people don't want to, don't have the time, fine. But I do think that is what's missing.
Yeah.
And for some people, that ship has sailed. For some networks, that ship has sailed. But I do have hope. As long as we continue to have conversations in whatever format and platform that is. That's why, yes, you need to get back to taking calls at some point somewhere. Because not everybody's able to do it and do it kindly.
You accuse me of not watching. Thank you for that. You accuse me of not watching your show. This is the point in the show where I go, I'm going to offer you a lip pillow. It's the second time that you've been offered a lip pillow on your show, and I know that to be the case.
Now you know that I know what a lip pillow is.
Fizzy cola, straight from Europe. This is fancy. This is the fancy stuff.
You're so bougie.
This is European Zen.
What the heck is Europeans in?
Well, they've got more flavors in Europe. Okay.
I cannot.
And this one is fizzy cola. I don't know what language that is on the
I'll
side.
just smell it, but this is so disgusting. You are, see, I'm going to put you in that box. You're from Texas, and so you have to have chaw on your lip, right?
Smells like fizzy cola.
Do one.
I don't smell anything. What would it, Justin
No.
Nunley said it would give me a
would
buzz.
Not. Yeah. That one's got a lot of nicotine in it.
So are you an addict? Well,
Absolutely.
To what?
This.
But that's coming after something else.
No, only this.
Why would you even start that? So you never dipped?
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
I'm
so
addicted
this is
to
your
nicotine. And I started
Did
when
you
I
smoke?
I started when I was 15.
Did you smoke?
Well, there's been a phase of that. I started, I'll give you the whole progression. I don't care.
What did you smoke?
Cigarettes. What was that face? We said,
Is that it?
yes. When I was 15, I started, I'm not proud of this, but it's just, maybe I'm a little proud. No. I started with Levi Garrett, Redman.
Oh my gosh.
All the chew. Do you know what that is? That's chaw.
That's like where you can
No. That's get a wad and like a baseball player with your whole cheek coming out here, and then you spit. No, you spit big strings. Nasty.
It's sexy.
It's
so hot.
So gross. But we all wanted to be men. We wanted to be
Especially from Texas.
baseball players
And baseball for
rednecks.
sure.
Yeah, we wanted
Yes.
to be like that. So then you go to Skull Bandits. And you get your cherry and your mint Skull Bandits, and nice little packets. But the whole point you're doing this is you're working your way up to graduate school. And graduate school, you get your PhD
And
when you get to Copenhagen.
okay.
And you got to get to Copenhagen. So I got to Copenhagen probably in college. And that's a whole thing. Now you're in the Copenhagen culture. And can you pack it?
Oh my gosh.
And then can you get you a pinch? It's fine cut, of course. And and then keep it all together in your mouth. It's terrible. It's nasty.
It's perfect in the chlorine playing water polo too.
And then, we don't do it while you're playing water polo. But, and then my wife said, I wish you'd quit
Yeah.
early in marriage. And I did. And I've quit everything since. So what I mean by that.
Everything, all of the things.
Every time they come out with the new thing, I'm like, maybe I should try. It was snooze. Then the Swedish Camel came out with a snooze packet. And then I was living in New York, so I'd go to this fancy store and buy this Swedish snooze. And then this is probably 5 years in the making. I heard about this from the kids,
Oh, whose kids?
the contemporaries of my kids.
Okay. Your boys?
My boys don't do it.
Yeah, I should hope not.
Yeah, but yeah, it's super clean. It's not that bad for you. Nicotine's not bad for you. Tobacco causes cancer, not nicotine.
Okay. Go ahead and rationalize whatever
It's
you want
true,
here.
but it's addictive. And I am addicted.
Do they subscribe to your show and you get paid by Zen on your show?
No, in fact, there is a brand that's much more friendly to the Will Kane show.
Okay,
And I just
okay.
am out. I'm just out, guys. Send me some Lucy.
You are failing. Send me some Lucy. Okay, good. See, another fact I did not know about you, but I should have known. I mean, all guys from Texas who wear cowboy boots do that stuff, right?
Most of my friends do.
Okay, let me just act like Levitard and just assume everything.
Yeah, right. So it turns out Levitard was right.
Yeah,
you
Levitard.
Just make all your assumptions.
There you go. That's the first and last thing Levitard was right about. I will definitely leave that one alone. That's for another day when I want to fight. Okay. He'll be one of the first ones on my list. Okay. I have 64 other things to talk about, and I know that I don't have time, and I am hearing everybody's stomachs grumbling because we're all hungry. I do want to, like, when you went to Fox and Friends, I was just so happy because of the conversational nature of what that show was.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was just such a perfect fit for you, and always loved Rachel, and never met Pete Hegseth.
No?
Maybe at some point
You still haven't?
No. We have to make
we'll
this
make
happen,
that happen.
right?
Yeah.
But I loved that, and it's tough, man. I don't think people understand how difficult it is to find real, genuine chemistry where you really like somebody. Because let me tell you how many times I've been assigned to and I got along with 99% of them. A couple of them, it's hard. You can't fake that shit. You can't. And you guys had it.
Lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
Magic. I've been doing this for a long time, and I pride myself on establishing chemistry with people. Like you were talking about when you have a guest that comes in, you can tell they're nervous. It's your job to be real with them.
Yeah.
Get them real.
Yeah.
I had a level of chemistry with Soledad O'Brien. I had a level of chemistry with Elliot Spitzer. I had certainly good chemistry with Stephen A. Smith. I had chemistry with Ryan Russillo. And it's a matter of being a real person and connecting. Nothing like what I had with Pete and Rachel. I go in there not expecting it. Pete and I were friends, and I knew Pete. And Rachel wasn't on the show when I first joined. And I mean, I could tell pretty early on this is going to be cool with Pete. Like, we're going to be cool. We're buddies. We're hitting it off, going back. And then Rachel comes in. She's just...
Energy.
She's just Rachel.
And now with 9 kids. No multiples, right?
She's one of one.
She's incredible.
I don't know another Rachel.
Incredible. Do you know that, real quick, do you know that I auditioned with Rachel for an alternative version of The View, The Talk in 2003? Jennifer Lopez's sister was creating a show, trying to create a pilot. And I auditioned with
of
Rachel.
The Talk version of The Talk?
Yeah, a talk show, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it was exactly like that. I mean, The Talk wasn't in existence then, but Talk View, like that type of vibe.
Yeah.
In 03, we auditioned in Philadelphia. She was pregnant with her third. I was pregnant with my
That'd have been
second.
great.
Would have been, yeah. There were all kinds of interesting people auditioning for that thing. But she only had 3 kids then. She's 9. 9. But anyway.
Showing up to work with those two was so much fun, Sage. And by the way, getting up at 4 in the morning, not my ideal.
In New York
on
City in the
Saturday and
winter.
Sunday.
Yep.
But to show up with those two, it was just, and it's a 4-hour show. It's just so easy. And you know, you've been in TV in a long time. I've been in TV a long time. Executives try to find chemistry and they try to engineer it.
They
and place
force
this
it.
person. Yeah. And all I know is I don't know how you identify it, but when you have it, you better try to keep it together.
Hang on to it.
Now, what happened with our show is what, and I've been doing this long enough. Pete and I used to tell Rachel, everything comes to an end. Good things come to an end. It's lightning in a bottle. And no one knew it would go the way it did with like Secretary of Defense / Secretary of War and me getting my own show in Dallas. But what a special 5 years.
Yeah.
Most special chemistry I've had in my career.
I remember your coverage of the fires in Hawaii, Lahaina.
Lahaina.
I'm sorry, I always say it the wrong way. Which I know that's something you're super proud of based on the history you have in Hawaii. Can you explain why that was so devastating for you and important for you to be there?
Well, my mom was there when it happened. I grew up going to, it's a beach resort right next to Lahaina. Lahaina is a real town. I mean, been there since like the early 1800s, a whaling and fishing capital of Texas, of Hawaii. And at one point, like the home of the royal family. And it had its touristy parts like Front Street, and we'd all go down there and hang out, but it was really where everybody that was from Hawaii or worked in Hawaii lived. It was their home base. And that entire town burned down. The entire thing, basically. And I was only there like a week or two before I had left. And outside of Texas, it's like there's no place, even Montana, which I love, as near and dear to my heart. I grew up there every summer. And when you go up there on vacation, you're kind of on the outskirts of the locals. You're not always with them. Sometimes I had friends that were locals, but I just felt super indebted to these people that allowed us to enjoy their home for so long. And there's some tension between the local and tourist population, but I always respected the relationship, and there was just had to be something done. And, you know, this goes back to that grieving thing we were talking about earlier. Like, what do? Well, you take action, and you don't plan it. You don't think. And I went to cover it. And then I set up a GoFundMe with another 2 families that I've grown up in Hawaii with. And it's the family of Wayne Dyer, who's a very famous self-help author. He's passed, but his kids are very good friends with our family and another great family from California. And with the generosity of Fox, they allowed me to raise money. So every weekend and every time I appeared on Jesse, on Fox and Friends, and certainly hosting our show, I asked people to contribute to this GoFundMe. And we raised $2.6 million. Yeah, I was blown away every time. The Fox viewers are the best. They're the best. I mean, the relationship we have with our viewers is a 2-way relationship that is incredible. And I've never seen it. Certainly in that way at ESPN. Not that way at CNN. And we gave away, what was it? $12,000 grants. We gave away about 212 of them to help people rebuild it. Use them whatever the way. Wasn't my job to tell them how to use the money. They could rebuild a home, they could move, they could use it for their groceries and expenses. And I spoke to almost all of them on the phone. I personally vetted it to make sure we weren't giving it away to scam artists or anybody like that. Called, do you know so-and-so? Once I had my people in the community, yes. They lost, yes, you know, and told them, called them and told them. And I experienced a level of humanity on those phone calls that changed me. for the rest of my life. My sons were baptized in Hawaii just the 2 weeks before that.
Oh, wow.
The preacher lost his church, lost his own home. He's in my life to this day. And the reason isn't just all my personal stuff, Sage. What we do for a living is incredibly self-centered, incredibly self-focused. You know, we make good money. We get a lot of adoration. You and I talked a lot about the people that say negative things to us. We need to be real. A lot of people say really nice things to us too.
Lot.
And it's not enough. Like, it's not what it isn't meaningful. It's meaningful that people say these nice things, and when I meet them, it is. And what I mean is what I do with it.
Yeah.
I can't just make money from it. I can't just fill up my ego with it. I have to do more with the privilege and the platform that I've been given. And that was the fulfillment of making this job really meaningful in a way where I saw it. And I'd like to think that the things we do on a daily basis also help people, maybe to form a better government, maybe to help their neighbors. But on that one, I saw that what we can do literally can help people get up off the ground.
What a blessing, right?
It's one of the biggest blessings.
To have the platform. Timing is everything. For you to have the ability to say to your bosses, I want to go do this.
Yeah.
And they greenlight it and they say yes. And you are changing lives.
Yeah. And I so appreciate Fox. I really do. I mean, to your point, they don't have to say yes to that. And they could say, we donate to the Red Cross. We're not doing this thing that you did, you know? And yeah, I love Fox. I love Fox.
It was a privilege to be on the Monday of the election in Buncombe County, North Carolina with Tulsi Gabbard and Danica, and touring 6 different spots in that county in Asheville that got completely decimated from the hurricane.
Yeah.
You know, so fascinating because hurricanes, okay, fine. You can't prepare for something that's never happened before, which is what happened in North Carolina in the mountains where you're supposed to be protected from these things, and what happened, devastating. It was so incredible to be on the ground, and people just wanted a hug. People just wanted to feel like they weren't forgotten by everybody because they felt like the government forgot about them and left them hanging. And in many ways, I think we can all agree FEMA did.
Yeah.
But Lahaina happened first. That was first.
And then you have Kerrville, Texas with the floods.
Correct.
And, you know, I consider my job, and I think that you do as well. My job is to tell the truth. That's the primary guiding light of my job, is to tell the truth. So that's the first thing I have to do. I don't want to be, what do you call it? Like an advocacy journalist or one of these things. My job is to tell the truth, right? But to the extent that we can use our job to help people, and I've met through this job some incredible people, some Green Berets, some Navy SEALs, some guys that do this. And I was around them on North Carolina, and they mobilize like that. They mobilized in Lahaina. They mobilized in North Carolina. They've mobilized in Florida. And they drop in. And the extent that we can help that, I don't know. That's how you really make this job meaningful.
When Hegseth was going through the confirmation hearings and really, getting crushed from every angle, you were very vocal. Rachel, everybody's very vocal. Not just because he was your teammate, your brother, really, all those days, all those years, but because you talked about Pete Hegseth, the man.
Yeah.
What were your conversations with him at that time when he was going through it? I can only imagine how grateful he was to you. You didn't have to. You chose to.
Thank you. Didn't think twice about it. Didn't think, oh, should I or shouldn't I? And what does it mean for my career? Didn't think about any of that. It was the right thing to do because a man that I know and a man that I love was getting his reputation destroyed publicly. And it's wrong. And I had the unique ability to speak to who he is. I know him. He's not perfect. I never pretended that to be the case. But I do know who he is. And I don't know. Sage, I didn't think about it. I just did it. And I kept doing it. And it's funny, he and I didn't talk a lot during that time. We talked a little bit, but he was going through it.
He was.
He was going through it. And we talked a few times. And I talked to his wife. and they were appreciative. But that wasn't why I was doing it. I didn't need to hear that from him. I didn't need to hear that he appreciated. I didn't need to hear that he was grateful. I would have done it anyway because it was the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. And it was so personal.
Yeah, and
they went deep with his wife and the family. I mean, they were trying every angle to crush him, and he owned some things, right? But when you know him and when you know her, when you know the family.
And as I've gotten older, like, I don't know if you'd asked me when I was 25 or 30 years old, is like loyalty one of your things? Like, yeah, I think loyalty is important, but there's some people that do what we do, where it's like loyalty is everything, and you can tell. Like, and I've learned about me, it's actually a really big thing for me.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be loyal. Like, this is, honestly, it's as much about me as it is about Pete. Like, I'm going to be this person because this is the person I would want the other person to be. And therefore, like, I would have felt bad if I didn't do it. Be loyal.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch. Again, a friendship, and it seems more and more rare as we go on. Earlier you mentioned CNN.
Yeah.
And propaganda.
Yeah.
And I certainly believe that that's the best way to describe CNN. And people say the exact same thing. Propaganda, Fox News. It's just the opposite of CNN. Mm-hmm. What's your reaction to that?
No, it's not.
Why is it different?
Reaction. Look, this is my thing, and it's always been my thing in media. So first of all, my job is to tell the truth, and in the pursuit of the truth, the first thing I have to be is honest. And so I start with this honesty. I have a bias. I have opinions. I will tell you my opinions. The cardinal sin of somebody pretending to be objective and telling you, quote unquote, the truth is they started with a lie. You're not objective. You have an opinion. Objectivity is an aspiration, not a place that you live. And so what I consider how I approach this is I arm the audience with that. This is who I am and what I believe. Now I'm going to do my best to pursue the truth. Mm-hmm. I'll be wrong sometimes. I won't always get it right. And I will try to be self-aware and bring people in that highlight where I'm wrong or where I got it wrong. But I don't think I twist the facts. I certainly don't think that I tell lies. If I've told a lie, I would ask your viewers to point it out, and I want to own it. So I'd like to know, what's the lie I've ever told? Now, I may have gotten something wrong. I'd love to know what that is too. But I don't think there's that same fidelity to the truth. I really don't.
At CNN.
I mean, one of the things that I want to be careful of, that I've always asked this in even when I worked at ESPN, don't paint every individual with the brush of the network. And you probably felt the same way. Mm-hmm. I was a conservative at CNN. So if you said CNN, I'd be like, that's not me. So I don't want to say that about everybody that works at CNN.
Yeah, we can't.
Right.
But in general.
But most.
The way... Pretty much everybody there, yeah. And obviously, they have a very left-leaning viewpoint, and Fox News has a very right-leaning viewpoint. And
Fox doesn't deny that.
Yeah. But that's why...
CNN does deny that, by the way.
They still do, don't they? Which is incredible.
In some ways, you can respect MSNBC more than CNN. Because they're honest about their own bias and their own opinions.
And they've held people accountable recently too. More with the journalist with Charlie Kirk, who they fired the very next day.
Yeah, they're still full of wingnuts.
There's still, still have the Mad Owls out there. At least
they're honest about their wingnut.
No, for sure. One of my favorite things was the news that you were getting your show here in Texas. And in Dallas, and your house is 15-20 minutes away from here, and where you grew up is an hour or so from here, right? When you got that green light from Fox, what did that mean? I can't imagine hearing any boss I've ever had say, Sage, where do you want to go? What do you want that to look like? I mean, you have...
Oh my gosh. I didn't even see you sneak that over there. That's
you have, like, what is
that's
this?
Fox and
wrapping
Friends.
paper
That's Fox and Friends
with
stuff.
your face on it in your own massive, beautiful... like, this is a Will Cain design studio.
It's...
Do you ever just look around at this?
It's incredible. It really is. It's awesome. No, I mean, so Sage... and I'm sure you did this with your career, and I did, like, how do I want this to happen? And if I do this, maybe I can put it into this, and then this will happen, and then this is what I let go of that about 5 years ago when I joined Fox. Pretty much when I joined Fox, I was like, I'm just going to appreciate the job that I have. I appreciated Fox and Friends. At ESPN, it was like, am I ever going to be full-time on First Take? Am I going to get this radio show? And you're kind of doing this thing. and you're white knuckle gripping a steering wheel, which you really don't have control over. You don't have control over the decisions the bosses make. So
Yeah.
I kind of let go of that, and I just did my job, did the best I could.
You did
when
it
I got the
well.
Fox, and that's kind of when I got the call. Like when I let go.
Isn't that amazing? Is that faith related at all? Is that
Yes.
the professional in you, or is there
That's
okay.
God. That's God.
No, I mean, yes,
didn't
I
do
think we
this.
can look and say, oh, that God did that. But when you were in it,
Yeah.
when you were, just letting go of control, is it let go, let God? Or is it something that you realize afterwards, like, wow, look what God did?
Afterwards.
After.
Because I wasn't wishing. I wasn't saying, God, I'm putting it in your hands. I wasn't doing that. I was just like, okay, just hit Zen, man. Just do it. And not that Zen.
Zen. Okay.
I was commuting. I decided to
Texas
move to
to New
Texas.
York.
COVID interrupted life. I lived in Dallas. I've been here for 5 years. I only got the show in January.
Yeah.
And I was flying to New York every weekend, missing
Missing all the boys stuff. Yeah.
Friday night football games, missing Saturday and Sunday soccer games, missing social life. Like that whole thing you do. I mean, my life was weekdays and work, and weekdays are not the same as weekends. I know because I've got them back now. I know what a weekend feels like. But when they called me and said that, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't angling. I mean, Pete and I used to talk about this together. Like, hey, you think ever, maybe, you could do it from Texas and I could do it from Tennessee. He was living in Tennessee. Nah. We're like, nah. And then they called and said, and we want you to do it from Dallas. We have an idea for you. We'd like you to do 4 p.m. and we want you to do it from Dallas. And don't mess with me, Suzanne.
Yes.
Like, are you serious?
What did your boys say, knowing that Dad would be home again?
I didn't tell.
On weekends.
I didn't tell. I didn't tell my wife.
What?
I waited because I had to make sure it was real.
You didn't believe it?
You know this business.
Yeah.
Like I was like, let's make sure it's real. And I didn't know, were they going to change their minds? What are they going to do? Until I could tell it was getting close. And I was on a walk with my wife, and I remember telling her, I was excited to tell her, and she dropped to the ground on the walk. She's like,
You're kidding.
yeah, it was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And the boys?
Yeah, I don't remember them. They're teenage boys. It's probably like, cool.
Thanks, Dad. Have they seen this?
I don't know if they've seen that.
That might be the key to them finally thinking that you've made it. Yeah. And I hear that you got a key to Sherman, Texas recently, a key to the city.
I heard you did.
Thanks, Ellie.
I heard you did a pre-interview. Yeah, last Friday. That's I am always and forever from Sherman, Texas. I live in Dallas, but I am from Sherman, Texas. That hometown is who I am. It's who my family is. It's where my roots are. It's my people. Those are my people. And for them to give me the key to the city, yeah. I mean, you can kind of hang it up. I'm not. There's no more. I don't need an Emmy. How about that? I got the key to Sherman, Texas.
That is beautiful. Well, you have, you've done it your way. You really have. And I feel like you've never compromised your value. Like I witnessed it. You've never compromised your values along the way. You fell on your face. You got back up. You trusted your gut. You had enough confidence. You went through tragedy. Like you've really seen and done it all in such a non-traditional route. Like what do you want when people look back? And I get to say, well, I knew him when, right? But what do you want people to always remember about you long after this show is off the air and that kid from Sherman, Texas did it?
I've never really thought about that answer because there's a lot left to do.
There's a lot.
There's a lot left to do. I hope this story is not even at halftime yet. And the other thing is, man, people asked Charlie that question and he answered it so well that you're like, how do you match what Charlie Kirk says? I want to be remembered for my faith. What I will say about is I just want to be real. That's it. I respect you so much professionally and personally, and the kindness and the compliments that you've given me, not just in this sitting, has meant a lot to me. And I hope that in the end, what you think is I'm real, that you know me, that I'm not hiding a ball. I'm not trying to be somebody different. That'll be me sharing my opinions.
Yeah.
To some extent, that'll be me sharing my faith, which is not a lot of, I haven't done that a lot like other people, but I definitely want to have that reality apparent to people because it is important to me. And I want to be real with every person I interact with. So, yeah, I don't know.
In other words, continue exactly as you are. Because you're already, like, if you weren't doing it that way, I'd be like, oh, he changed. Because that's how you've always done it. That's how I've known you from day one. I hope that you, that it is not even halftime. We're going to be stuck with you for a long time. And I hope that you do. You're a machine and you're going and you're doing 2 shows now. It's Will Cain Country podcast as well, right?
Yep.
But look at this.
Yeah.
Not many people have this. It's yours.
Where do you go from here?
And
the governor's mansion in Austin?
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? I don't know. But like, no one gave you this. And that's the key. They don't do these kind of favors in our sick little industry, you know?
Yeah.
You earned it. And well done.
Thank you, Sage.
Thank you for giving up your night to talk about all this and for putting fuzzy socks on.
I don't even know how long we've been here, but I appreciated every minute of it.
That's
Thank you,
awesome.
Sage.
Thank you. Thank you.
Show.